Welcome to the Wedco podcast, where wedding wisdom meets street smarts.
We're dishing out all the tips, tricks, and wedding goss to take your wedding to the next level.
Time to ditch the formalities and get this party started. Welcome to the Wedco podcast. I'm Toga, and today I have Nathan Lapham on the podcast with us. Thank you so much for coming on, mate.
Mate, it's an absolute pleasure. I've seen this podcast and you guys are crushing it. When did you guys start it?
It's probably about a year ago now. Like I've 52 episodes, but I think we kind of dropped maybe 3 in the first week or so. So yeah, it's it's gone so quickly.
Yeah.
And Figtree was one of the first ones that we recorded at as well. So it's cool to kind of be back here again.
Oh, it's so good. Beautiful part of the world. I mean, look at this day.
Yeah, stoked. It's it's just the people you get to meet, like sitting down. I mean, like we met on a boat over to Hayman Island. So we had a good chat there. But like to actually get to sit here and have a chat for like an hour with people, they're like just the connections you build within the wedding industry over the last year that I've built compared to the earlier 13. It's like so much stronger now in that last year.
Yeah.
So it's amazing.
Yeah, we had a blast up in Hayman Island. That was so good.
It feels like it's your story. It's like, oh yeah, we just met on a boat on the way to Hayman Island.
It was the perfect setting, wasn't it?
It really was.
Yeah, we've been bros ever since.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, I think we should start with, a little bit about you and your backstory and kind of start from there.
Yeah, so this would probably be getting into my 6th year into shooting weddings and photography. Before then, I was a nurse for 6 years. So it's a crazy shift from working in that industry then coming into just like a full 180. It's such a crazy journey and best thing I've ever done, 100%.
Even like going from the high chaos stress of like nursing and then like when something's stressful at a wedding, you're like, I'm all good.
Yeah, and no, it was such a crazy change because when I was doing night shift one time back when I was nursing, I was like, I would just want to do something arty and fun, try something new. And then I just was like on Google, like looking at cameras and stuff. And I was like, I'm going to buy this. And then I just started taking photos of the most random shit, like a tree, the ocean. And I thought, oh, this is so sick. I'll show my friends. I'm like, mate, it's just a tree, And I'll be like, nah, it's so fun. And then I started getting into portraits and that. And then, started getting into some fashion kind of stuff. And then it just kind of flowed on. I said no to weddings for ages because I just thought, oh my goodness, I would hate the pressure of what if I missed the moment, But it just kind of flowed naturally. It was such a crazy journey when I think back on it.
So like, where did it start? Like I was in a similar position where I was like, I'm just going to be a travel photographer. No way I'm going to do weddings. And then there was like one bride was like, no, you have to shoot it, and just kind of kept hounding me. I'm like, okay, cool, I'll do it. Like, where did that start for you?
Yeah, so I said no to quite a few, but then my good friend, she was getting married and like we were already, such good friends and like it was so chill. She was like, here's $1,000. We just want you to come and celebrate and just like have fun with us. We know you'll do a good job and just snap what you can. And I'm like, all right. And it was the most fun wedding and it was like, such a learning experience. But that wedding was just perfect. And just because like we already had that beautiful friendship, like they were so comfortable with me. And it was down in Jervis Bay or Jarvis Bay, however you say it. And we just got the most amazing pics. And then she's like a model, so she's like really easy to shoot. And she had seen my fashion work and then she was like, I've got this dress and I know you can shoot it really well. And Chris, her husband, he's a good looking dude as well. And we just had like the best time. And the photos ended up getting published on a few blogs and I was like, what the heck? And then next thing I know, I'm getting all these like DMs like on my Instagram, like, hey, we want you to shoot our wedding. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, and so, that's when it started and I loved weddings ever since then. Like, it's just been the most fun and beautiful job. Like, it doesn't even feel like a job when you think about it. We're just there to capture their special day and,
I think like coming like when I was like now doing a bit of video as well, like you never got to see how other photographers do their job. But then when I saw you, when we were shooting up at Hayman, just like how relaxed and relatable you were to the couple. Like, I feel like when I was younger, it was very much like I had to have the shirt and I had to look all prim and proper to kind of feel like I fit there.
Yeah.
But like when you rocked up to the wedding, you're like, oh no, we're just going to be friends. We're going to hang out. And like, is that something you took from that first wedding where you were just with friends, like trying to relate that to all your weddings moving forward?
Yeah, so my whole approach is I put myself in their shoes really, and I always try to create a space where they can just be authentically themselves. And I'm thinking like, what's the best way to go about it? And because I know every couple's different as well, and that's the best thing I love about weddings. It's like trying to gauge like, are they the couple that love to party and just want to dance around and just have fun and just like all that, or are they the couple that are just they're a bit more on the lower end, shy, and just like want to keep it just chill and romantic and that. And that's the most fun thing I love about it. And I'm just there to try and work with them and trying to bring out their natural selves and authentic, natural, candid. I know they're all cliche, but like those are all the things that I always aim to do with every wedding I shoot. And every couple's different, every wedding's different. So I always try to, merge that into every wedding that I'm going into. Yeah.
A lot of a lot of the shots I see from you, they are very like fashion forward, images that I see as well.
Mm-hmm.
Is that so? You started with kind of the fashion stuff and then like branched into weddings.
Yeah. So it all started when I would just travel. I'll travel with my camera, and then I started this Instagram page. It was called Moody Film.
Yeah.
Have you heard of it?
No, I haven't actually.
Okay, all right. It's probably not much of a big deal, but for me, it was a big deal back then. And what I would do is I would just like screenshot other people's photos, and I would feature it on this page, and I would have a hashtag like Moody Film, and they would get featured if they would use the hashtag and that. And then it was all like fashiony lifestyle kind of stuff, and so that was my way of getting into that kind of field. Like I would just go hiking with friends and use my friends as models kind of thing. And so that kind of got me into that fashion kind of way of shooting. And then I started working for brands, and that was a totally different ball game. Like, cause working with brands, like every brand has their specifics and like their way they want it captured and everything. And that was such a crazy learning experience as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Rather than just having a camera and going to shoot what you like, and they're like, oh no, we need this for this and this for this, and like there's that whole brand ethos as well behind it.
Yeah.
So moving from like, was that? I feel like even if you were doing that, like your curation process must have been huge. Like you knew even before you're taking those photos, when you're featuring them on your Instagram page, you still knew exactly what you liked as well. So, and that's like coming back to your, like say the Instagram grid and your marketing and everything like that. It is very, I don't know how planned it is, but it looks very specific and like this looks good. And it's kind of just very limited what you put up there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, merging fashion and weddings is such a big thing that I'm known for, because I think the bride always looks to see how well they can shoot the dress. How does the photographer work with what I'm going to be wearing? And so I always aimed, like, this bride is the star of the day when you think about it. She's, all eyes are on the bride, and, she's got this amazing dress and she's dolled up, and you're just there to really capture her in a beautiful, like, divine woman, like, and you bring that out and then make them feel comfortable, but also capture the dress in the way that complements her as well. And that's what the fashion industry like really taught me, like, just like, the women are just beautiful as themselves, but like when they're dolled up in that dress, it's just amazing to see. And I'm just there to just capture it. It doesn't even feel like work for me, really.
And like go back to 6 or 7 years ago, I don't feel like many people were shooting that way. There probably is, the photographers based in, Melbourne and Sydney, those select few that would shoot that way. But say you're looking back at Hello May back in those days, which everyone looked up to, it was still kind of the backlit, sunset shots and the wide kind of landscapes. It wasn't so much focused on the fashion, I guess. So it would have really kind of stood out in those times as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think weddings have come a long way, obviously, in that 5 years, and I think it's always going to be merging. But I feel like my whole approach is just like, the bride, star of the day, but also the couple together, and just getting them into that space where they can just be themselves. And I think when you combine them both, you just create the most beautiful pieces. Like, it's so good.
Are you heading overseas this year at all?
It'll be next year. I've got three different continents next year, which I'm super excited for. Like, going to Sri Lanka in March, which will be amazing. Yeah, and then back to Europe in June, and then off to the Caribbean for one randomly. Like, yeah. And going back to the start of my photography journey, it all started when I did a destination wedding workshop. Okay. And so when I was starting in the wedding field, I really sought my direction into destination weddings. I mean, who doesn't want to travel for work, right? And so I was very drawn to that. And I don't know if you've heard of Tali photography.
I have, yeah.
So I was mesmerized because she was on the same journey as me, like merging fashion and weddings together. She worked with a lot of bridal brands and she just shot the dresses amazingly. And so I saw that she was doing a workshop in Mallorca and Morocco. So we did Morocco and Mallorca, and those were, I learned so much from them, and they were just like they were killing it at that time, and they still are, obviously. And so I took a lot of direction from them, and what I learned from that was like, you know, everyone has their own style, and, you know, I see a lot of people like, you know, take inspiration from other photographers and that's the thing that I went in there with, like, don't copy someone, but you can take inspiration, but everyone has their own unique way of shooting and delivering the images as well. Like, and I think that's the thing that we as creatives, like, it's such a saturated industry. There's photographers, videographers everywhere. And I think if we focus on just like, how can we deliver it in our own authentic way ourselves? Like, you know, take inspiration from like Vogue, obviously, they're beautiful weddings, but, you know, how can you merge that into the way you shoot and the way you deliver your photos as well? Yeah, so that's what I learned from that workshop. Like, just find your own style, find your own way of delivering it and capturing it as well, and keep that.
Did that come pretty naturally after you went to that workshop? Because it's hard to find like people like, you are unique, you are yourself, but then it's like when you actually sit down, you're like, but why am I different? You know, like, did that come pretty naturally to you when you actually sat down and like, why?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, no, I set my sights on just really, honing down on, okay, this is what I'm good at. I love fashion, obviously, and I love capturing, you know, that beautiful, like, divine woman, like, aspect in that dress. But I love real, raw emotion. And I'm just such a relatable kind of guy when I'm there on the day. I think we always end up walking away like good friends, like catch up a coffee if they're in the area kind of thing. And so I think merging all those things together, I feel like I do have that edge that does set me apart. And I think, and that's the most fun thing about the job, like just walking away knowing that I've made new friends and that they're going to be cherishing these images for the rest of their lives, you know.
And I think that comes hand in hand with like the destination wedding photographer. Like when I was, you know, I'd always look up to like say Dan O'Day and stuff like that. And they were always getting the photos at like, you know, 1 o'clock in the morning. They're there partying with a couple still. I feel like that destination, that's the person you need to be to get a lot of that stuff as well. Like you have to actually like the couple, they want you there to take the photos, but they also want you to party with them and hang out with them as well.
You wouldn't say no to that. Be honest now.
No, not at all.
If someone is going to offer me beer at the end of the night, I'm like, no, yeah, okay, why
Let me
not?
think about that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's one of the highlights of the job for sure, just like celebrating with them. And it's the most special day of their lives. And the fact that they want you to stay back and have a few drinks with them and celebrate, have a boogie with them, it's just like such an honor when you think about it.
It is. Yep.
Yeah.
And getting out of the professionalism, like, and I really struggled with that at the start, was like, okay, no, like I'm here to do the job and now I've got to sign off and like, that's me done. Like you're almost compartmentalizing the bride and groom. You're doing the job for them and then it's kind of done. Whereas like, you do have to kind of blend that. Like obviously you're still staying professional within the whole role, but really kind of blending that friendship into it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And they love it. I feel like most couples love to see that, you know, you don't have to do everything like under that professional banner, like, because I feel like that's the whole intention with my approach, is just establishing a space where they can be themselves. And when I relate to them just as a vendor, you know, when you just rock up to the biggest day of their lives, it's just like, I'm just here to do the photos, you know, I'm not here to make those connections kind of thing. I think when you come to the wedding with an intention of just creating a space where they can feel like, you know, we're mates. Or not mates, but just like I'm not just a vendor. I'm here with you on this day, and I want you to feel comfortable with me. You know, I want to celebrate with you. You know, I want to laugh with you. I want to smile with you. I want, you know, and that's what it is for me. Like, yeah, after every wedding, it's just like, yeah, I look back on the day, I'm just like, wow, like these guys are awesome, made new friends, got to see them marry the love of their life, and it just makes me so happy, you know?
It's pretty rewarding.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure like nursing would have been really rewarding as well, but just a different way.
Well, yeah, and that's with every job that I've really set my sights on, it's always been about contributing. What can I do in this world that can contribute beyond myself, you know, that can benefit, you know, society or other people kind of thing. And yeah, so weddings just kind of fell into that quite naturally because I know that I've always been a big fan of weddings, like not just the fact that everyone, you know, is there to have fun and party, but it's for love, you know, and they're going to be looking back on these photos on their mantelpiece for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, it's pretty special. Like when you'll get a message back from a couple and they're like showing you pictures like they put up, and like, you know, you might have done their wedding 6 months ago and they're putting like prints up on their wall or something like that. You're like,
yeah,
oh, like it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I just saw a story this morning of one of the couples I shot last year, and they got all these beautiful framed images, and yeah, I just like, yeah, it just warms your heart so much. Eh? It's so good.
And so can I touch back on like going back to like workshops and education? Like once you kind of, well, actually, how many, like, what's an average year? Like, how many weddings would you want to take on an average year?
Yeah, I think 4 a month is like my max, you know, 1 a week. And I think if I do any more than that, I just end up feeling, you know, a bit overwhelmed. And I don't want to rock up to a wedding where I'm just like, you know, kind of stressed, like, oh, I've got backlogged kind of stuff to deal with. And that way I can just be focused on that day, and I don't have to stress about, oh, I've got to fly to here the next day kind of thing, you know. I think that one wedding a week is so good, and that gives me time to really dedicate just for them, and I don't have any other things on my mind. Because, yeah, I'd rather shoot, you know, smaller amount of weddings that are, you know, that I have a lot more space and time for. That way I can do the best work that I can possibly do, rather than just, you know, take on as much as I can and, you know, and just treat it like that's when I feel like it becomes like a job, when you just end up taking on as much as you can, and then you can start to feel it, like it does start to feel like a job when you feel like you're overworked and, you know.
Just kind of running through the same shots. We're just like going to do this. It's a different couple. And then all of a sudden, like that connection that you talk about, you're not getting that stronger connection anymore, because it's just like, okay, cool. Like you said, you're almost thinking about the next wedding that you've got coming up at the same time. So like when you get kind of busy like you are, it gets hard to kind of really focus on like still growing and like, you know, learning new things. You'll do all of that at the very start, and then you kind of start doing well, and then you don't really kind of revisit that. Are you still looking at ways of like bettering your photography and delivery and stuff like that? Like any workshops or anything that you go to?
I mean, every wedding I shoot, every wedding I rock up is a new like learning experience, because you're dealing with a total different couple. And that's the fun part about weddings. It's figuring out who they are, what they like, and you're just there. I'm just there really just to bring, you know, the best parts of themselves out. And yeah, that's what makes it so fun. Every wedding's different. That's what I love about it. And it is such a learning experience. I'm always trying to find ways of shooting a wedding a bit different as well. Like, you know, I'll find some inspiration that I read on Vogue or something like that. I'll be like, oh, I would love to try a shot like that, you know. And even just working with you guys like have like a cool approach, very similar to mine, very relaxed, very, you know, candid, and I learn a lot from you guys as well. Like, and that's the best thing about weddings. You just work with a new team, you know, all the time, a new venue, new couple, and it's just always learning every wedding. And that's the best thing about it. It's so good.
It's like I feel like whenever I look at the Figtree Instagram, it feels like every second photo is coming from you. Like, so like, are you actively trying to book local jobs? Like, is that a focus for you at the moment?
I love staying home. I do. I love it. And I know I said I love destination weddings, but this is such a beautiful part of the world we live in. And I still dedicate some times of the year where I do like to travel. Like, I think I went to season when it slows down. It's it's nice just to go experience the Europe for the summer for a bit, you know. But yeah, local weddings are so special, you know. I get to be in my own bed for the night and then go for an early surf the next day. So it's really nice.
It's almost like you get to show off the area as well. Like so many people come from everywhere else. And you're like, oh, look at our house. Like, look at our home. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've also recently been doing more engagement shoots. I've been encouraging that just because so the couple can meet me before the wedding and then they get to see how I work as well and get comfortable with me. And so it establishes more of a trust when I'm there on the day as well.
Love that. How do you go? Because I was like, whenever I do engagement shoots, I really struggle with, I don't want to kind of do the same kind of poses and movements that we're going to do at the wedding.
Yeah.
Because especially if it's close to the wedding, say it's like 2 months before the wedding, I don't want them to feel like, oh, we're just going through the same motions. Do you do kind of different things? Like, are you going for hikes or are you doing picnics or anything like that for those engagement shoots?
Yeah, I always, once I have a phone call with them, I just get a vibe of what they're like. And I always offer it to them. I'm like, we could do like a little mood board. Like if we could set like a little theme, like a date night theme, you know, just something fun, something different. And I think, yeah, like I just did one last week in Cabarita and yeah, just keeping it romantic. And yeah, you don't want to just do all the same kind of stuff that you would do at like weddings, but you want to keep it more like, yeah, different but special at the same time. Yeah,
for sure. I like that, having like a little action. Like this is what we're going to do. We're going to go and watch the sunset over here and have a little walk. Like actually having things to do. Yeah. Rather than like, we're going to rock up here and get pretty photos. Yeah. You can kind of get into the same rhythm.
Yeah, I told them bring a little picnic blanket and a basket. Have like a little date night theme. Bring some champagne, pop some champagne, and you know that way it just establishes more of a like I'm not there. You know, you guys just aren't having a date. I'm just, you know, paparazzi in the background kind of thing, ninja.
Yeah. And then like chances are they would never have done that unless they were going with you. Like the chances of them going down there on a Saturday night or whenever it is to actually go sit down and watch the sunset or something like that, they wouldn't have done that. Yeah. So regardless, it's going to be special and they're only doing it because you're like, yeah, let's do this. So it's just going to be like another like memory that they tie to you. And then, like you said, you rock up to their wedding day and they're like, hey, how are you? Like, how you been? And you just walk in and get that comfortability back. Like when you did your first wedding, you are just friends and everyone just lets down their guard. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love that. It's like just such a nice approach because it can, especially like you've been 6-7 years now, it can get into the fact where like it does become a job and you're just like, cool, I rock up and these are the movements that I go through. But sounding like you're still kind of creating those individual connections with each couple, it sounds really important. Yeah. No, that's so good. And a lot of the couples are like in other cities, so they obviously can't just fly up, you know, and do an engagement shoot. So I always try to at least have a FaceTime or a phone call, you know, leading up just so I can meet them, like, you know, and it does make a difference on the day, I feel like. Oh, it does for sure. Yeah. Just so you can let down that guard. Yeah. Are you, like I had Harley from Bolbon just a couple of weeks ago. And when I rocked up to wedding with him, he's got his film camera, he's got his, you know, all the different cameras. Are you shooting a lot of film at your wedding days as well? Yeah, that's something new I've been incorporating in my packages now. Because, I think film's just, everyone loves film. Who doesn't love film? And, I've added that into my packages and, like, every couple wants film now. But, like, there's such a, have you noticed, like, the supply demand in Australia is, like, I had to wait, like, 3 weeks for my film to get delivered, and so I had to borrow film from other friends and that. But every wedding I always bring a couple rolls. It's so fun. It's so good, and like you're probably doing it before like people are even ordering it. You're just like, cool, I'll just take these couple of snaps and then like deliver what you can. But then even like as soon as it's like, oh, this is what I'm delivering for the client, it makes it even more like you really start to focus on that as well. Yeah, because with the new cameras we have, everything is so like pristine. And then you get back on like an analog camera and you're like, oh, it's just something different. I know. Yeah. I really would love to shoot a whole wedding just on film. Yep. So, I've actually got a wedding like that coming up, and I've got my other friend, he's just going to be on digital, and I'm just going to be shooting on film the whole day. So I've got like 10 rolls and I'm just going to be rinsing. It's going to be, it's going to be good. Yeah. You always need to have like an assistant there just like changing over film for you at the time or something like that. I know. I've been practicing like just doing it really quick, but I will have 2 on me at once. So I've got like a medium format and I've got like, a classic point and shoot. Yeah. Love it. Man, that's like challenging. And like you said, like trying to like learning at every single wedding and like trying to up your game, that's going to be massive. Yep. I love it. And so like if we go kind of down the route of like working within the Byron area, do you still find like a lot of your work, is it coming from like magazines and Vogue and Hello May and stuff, or is it more kind of other referrals from people in the area?
Yeah, I think I'd say like 80% is just coming through Instagram or just like, my work getting shared through local vendors and stuff like that. Like there's specific kind of venues that share my work more than others. And so I get booked at those venues a lot more. Like Figtree have been so good with me. Like, yeah. And I think every time they share one of my photos, I get at least 5 inquiries. So I'm like, yeah, they've been amazing. And I love coming back here. It's such a beautiful venue. Summer Grove, like it's such a popular one. Like they are the same. I think they posted a photo last week and I booked 2 weddings from that for next year. So, and that's only 5 minutes from my house. So it's like, it's so good.
And does that become a conscious effort then? Like when you have a wedding at Figtree, you're like really like, cool, I got to make sure I share this with, the Byron Bay wedding crew, and like really kind of trying to focus on building those relationships.
Yeah. I was just chatting with the owner of Figtree just before, and every time I come here, we always sit down and have a good yarn, and we're always so comfortable with each other. And he's just done such an amazing job with all his venues around here. And and he was saying the same about me. So it's like, it's such an honor to work with a team that, loves each other's work kind of thing. And we just like help each other out.
Exactly, especially when you're not at a wedding, like to actually get up and like meet each other, and like you're not running off to see the bride or doing this or this, and you can actually like relate and like, oh hey, I'd love a coffee, and just be able to hang out as well.
Yeah,
which is so good about it. I guess it is, as big as the wedding industry is, like around our area here, it is still so like close knit as well, where you can like go down to the beach for a surf and like hang out with other vendors, or go to the market to meet up with people there as well. I don't feel like there's many places around Australia that has so many amazing venues, but then also like that really tight knit community as well.
Yeah, I feel like there's pockets of areas for weddings that are just blowing up, like Hunter Valley. You're going there a few times next year, like, and then Byron. I feel like this is probably the biggest in Australia. I feel like there's just at least 15 venues in this whole region. It's crazy, and there's a new venue popping up every 6 months. I swear.
Yep. I think Andy was saying, I just had him on, and he was saying, I think there's like between 40, maybe I think he's saying like 40 weddings per month in the area. I don't know if that sounds like a lot, but it was like a lot, like 40 to 50 within like this small area here, like a month.
You're kidding. Is that including like the whole hinterland, or is it?
I think it's like the Byron region, I think. Yeah, which is just...
I'm not surprised. I mean, it's so beautiful. Like, it's got everything you need. Hinterland backdrops, ocean backdrops, whatever you want. And it's good weather for most of the year.
Yep.
Yeah.
So like going back to like education and everything like that, have you ever thought about like there still are a lot of, I say, photographers looking up to you? Do you ever like looking towards that mentor space and helping out newer photographers that are kind of looking at what you've done?
It's actually in the works. I'm planning on launching some online workshops. Going to see how that goes. And then eventually I'll start some in-person workshops as well, maybe just once or twice a year, pick a cool location. I was thinking New Zealand maybe for the first one. That'll be fun.
Mallorca?
Oh, Mallorca. Wow, that'll be amazing. I think you've got to work baby steps. Maybe we can even do one here in the Byron region, start off with, But yeah, I've had a few other newly started photographers reach out and asked if I do any education or if, I could mentor them into it, which I've done, like just one-on-one, just like had a few Zoom calls and that's been amazing. It's been great for me as well because it's made me a better photographer because it's made me like think like, oh, how did I get to where I am kind of thing. And, it goes beyond the marketing thing, but as we were talking about before, it's just all about your approach and how you go about the day and how you aim to deliver the photos for them.
Yeah, and so it really breaks it down in your head. Like you probably just do that so many times you don't even think about it. And then like when you're trying to train someone, you're like, okay, yeah, this is what I do. And then you really actually learn that process even more. And there's so many things you do on a wedding day that are just second nature to you. But if people have never been to weddings or they're new in the game, they're like, oh, like even I remember, like coming around for first kiss, like you're getting, maybe some ring shots or something like that. And then all of a sudden knowing that you've got to be back around the front for that first kiss. Whereas like you can see when you have someone along just kind of training with you, that they've got no idea where they need to be. But it's just like so many little nuances that you pick up along the way.
Yeah. And in my first like 6 months of getting into the wedding industry, I was doing some second shooting for like a wide variety of other photographers, and I got to see so many different approaches and different ways and styles of shooting, and that taught me so much. And I learned like, you know, what not to say, what not to do, and what to do, and you know, and just different ways of going about it. And it was like, yeah, it was so beneficial doing that. And I encourage, you know, if anyone's getting into, you know, the photography, videography space, definitely look at reaching out to other photographers, videographers that are established. I've taken quite a few on just from them reaching out. So I'm sure if you're looking to get into it, you should,
it's definitely the way
reach
to go.
out.
Because like I feel like just learning how weddings work is 50% of it. Like just learning how the day works.
Yeah.
And then like you said, even like developing your own style when you go to work for other people and you're like, oh, I would never have done that.
Yeah.
And then at least that's like one more thing you know about yourself and how you're going to run a wedding day.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really cool that you actually are taking people on because, you know, doing the caliber of weddings that you are doing, it'd be very easy to be like, no, you know, we're good. How did you like, so when you first, I mean, your first wedding sounds like it was pretty high end anyway. Like, how do you feel like the weddings that you're kind of booking now, has that changed over the last 6 years from like when you kind of just got into it?
Yeah, definitely. I loved where I started with weddings because that wasn't all, you know, high-end weddings. Like, you know, like I was, you know, charging $1,000, you know, for the whole day. And I didn't even have like a proper package. I was just like, yep, I'm there from start to finish. And some couples would like book me from like, okay, do you want to start at like 8 a.m., finish at midnight? Thanks so much. And I'm like, oh, okay. And, you know, I learned that, I learned a lot in that time because, I learned to actually have packages like with, you know, timings and everything and what's included in that. But I was just flying blind that whole time. I didn't even know I needed to register my business, especially until like 6 months later. I was like, oh, you're making enough money that you have to. I'm like, what? Oh my goodness. Okay. So yeah, it was such a learning experience for sure.
And did you find you found that like when you went to the workshops, was that like business or was that more like inspiration of you as an artist, how you're going to portray, how you take photos?
Yeah, well, I was like following that Tali photography for quite a while, and I just loved and adored her work, and it was very similar to what I wanted to try and do with my photography. And as soon as I said, she was saying that she's going to have workshops in Morocco and Mallorca, I was like, I quit my nursing job. I just went straight over there. And yeah, it was like the most beneficial thing too, because like in the workshop, like you get to actually work with a couple over there shooting in the Sahara Desert, like on these mountaintops in Mallorca with this beautiful backdrop. And yeah, like it's like a mock wedding. So you make it look like it's like a real wedding. And so like just from those images alone booked me some higher end weddings just from that. Like, yeah. And yeah, I think it's such a good way of not only just learning how to market yourself and brand yourself and, you know, photography equipment, all that kind of stuff. It's such a good way of just getting proper work out there kind of thing. Because your first year of weddings are always going to be, you know, lower end, which is fine, which is great. We all need to go through that. And then eventually to actually go to the next level and get some higher end weddings, like you need to do these styled shoots to, you know.
You either need to do the styled shoots or just like luckily book one of those weddings. But then I found like back in the day, you'd get one at this venue you really wanted to shoot at, and then for some reason it rained or like it didn't end up the way you wanted to. And you like had these massive high hopes of like, this is going to book me so many more jobs like this. And then it just doesn't happen. Like, you're just like waiting for that next one.
That's the other fun thing about weddings is like you never know what you're going to get on the day. Like there's so many variables, and it's just trying to work together with the client or with the couple, with other vendors and stuff, and how can we make this work that's going to, you know, be amazing, like, and that we can deliver some, you know, the best images that we possibly can.
In your world at the moment, are people doing a lot of like first looks, or like how is it working in like your market at the moment?
Yeah, I'd say probably first looks quite quite common these days. I'd say 1 out of 4 weddings, and I love them. I think they're great. I think a lot of couples are drawn to the first look just because they get the tears out of the way before the ceremony. They don't want to cry in front of everyone, but they end up still crying anyway. But yeah, I love them. I think it's good. I love to squeeze as much as I can in from the day, and yeah.
It almost feels like half the portrait's almost done by the time you have that first look. You've already got these amazing shots as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like so many couples are doing like their own private vows there. So then when they have the ceremony, it's kind of just the legalities and doing that in front of everyone else. And it just makes it more special even again doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you find that that is a big thing within your industry.
Yeah, I'd say the first look, probably 1 out of 4 weddings are doing that these days for me. Yeah,
And like,
so.
how much of a coaching role do you have from like when, you know, clients, couples are kind of booking you? Are they looking to you for much guidance up to the wedding day?
Yeah, so I always like touch base with the couples leading up to the wedding. Usually a phone call, within a month of the wedding, and then another one like the week of the wedding, just to double check everything, anything else you want to squeeze in this timeline. And I think the main thing is I just want to get a vibe of what they're really wanting. You know, I don't want to force anything on them that they're not wanting to do. Like, you know, that some couples will just be like, we're not into photos at all. Just give us 20 minutes after at sunset. We're good with that kind of thing. And I'm like, perfect. I'm just there to capture you guys being candid and hanging out with your friends. That's like right up my alley. Perfect.
It's hard to take that away from your ego too, because you're like, but I want to get all these beautiful shots, but also this is what they're paying for and this is what they would want.
Exactly.
And you're like looking, you're like, but this is stunning. You're like, no, but this is what they want over here.
Yeah.
So it's hard to kind of disconnect from that and just like, and really just serve your couples for what they want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It can be like a hard thing like throughout the day when you just get drawn in so many different directions of like artistically, this is what I want artistically to fill my cup, but then also this is what the couple wants, this is what the planner wants and everything like that. And you kind of got to be everyone.
I mean, like you would understand this, but most guys hate the photos. Yeah. And so I feel like my whole approach on the day as well is just winning the guy over and just making him feel comfortable. I'm like, you got another beer in your hand, man? Do you need one? Like, you know, because just to settle the nerves, like I feel like I'm so awkward in front of the camera. I'm so awkward in front of these cameras right now. But yeah, it's totally different just being on the other end of the camera. And I can relate to the guy. And I always tell him, I'm like, I know how you feel, bro. Don't worry. But I just want to make it as fun and relaxing for them as possible and just try to create that space for them just to be like, you know, stuff it. Let's just do this, have some fun. And because, yeah, I feel like I used to be like that when my mum wanted to get photos, kind of thing. I'm like, oh, all right, smile, Nathan, kind of thing. And it's just like this awkward forced smile and that. And once I see I've won over the groom, you know, the photos just flow so nice.
They do,
know?
yeah. Yeah, he's down to help you out. He knows like the shots that you need to get. So he's helping you, he's helping his wife out. And he's like, cool, I'll do the thing.
Because like I learned this from doing one wedding, like where I was focused so much on the bride because the bride just looked amazing, but I forgot to pay attention to how the groom was looking. And he was just like, you could tell like he just didn't want to be there. And so from that, I learned that I need to give as equal time to the groom to make sure he's feeling comfortable, you know, because like he's just stinging to get back and have some beers with the boys, you know, and he's just, counting his time. So I think, that's a big learning lesson for that.
I used to do that when we used to have photo. We'd offer like a second photographer. And so the second photographer would go to the groom prep and I'd go to the bride prep and then meet up a ceremony. And I had to wind that back because I found like I'd rock up a ceremony and you wouldn't even know the guys at all.
Yeah.
And then that all plays into, cool, after ceremony, we're going to go straight into like bridal portraits and you've got like no rapport whatsoever with the groom and it just makes it so much harder.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you need to be there. Like it might only take you 20 minutes to get like groom prep shots. But you kind of need to be there for like an hour. So we're just hanging out, you know, you guys can have some drinks and actually just talk is like, you know, more than half of it is just getting into each other's groove.
Yeah.
So, it's just coming back to the photography, you got to get the beautiful shots, but it's not the whole thing. It might be 50% of the day is the actual photos.
Yeah.
And then I'll move into one other direction as well. Working with other videographers. How do you go? Like I see you work with a couple kind of regulars when you're shooting destination weddings. How do you find that experience?
Yeah, there's definitely some videographers that just work well with me. Like yeah, you and Joel like was like so fun. We were on the same kind of level, like, and our approach just worked so well. And it's just such an easy kind of experience when you get to work with other videographers and photographers that are on that same kind of approach as you. And so, yeah, I most of the time I'm working with a new videographer, but there's probably 50% of the weddings I'm working with regulars, and we just work so well. But I always just, my aim is if I'm working with a new videographer, you know, like it was interesting my first year, you know, you're just like, how do I go about this? Because like this videographer is just totally not what I've been asked to capture by the bride and groom, and he's just, you know, standing on my toes kind of thing. I'm like, how do I go about this kind of thing? But now I've learned that I just like establish like, this is, you know, what the bride and groom want from me. What do you guys need? And let's just try and work together and how we can help each other out and create, and don't like compromise this space of, you know, letting them have as much fun as possible and keeping them relaxed and having, you know, just the best time on their special day. And I feel like once we establish that, I had an interesting experience last year at a wedding. This videographer was like telling the bride, okay, when you walk down the aisle, don't cry. Remember, just smile. And I was like, and I had to pull her aside and I just said, look, this is her day. You know, this isn't your day. And I think if she's going to cry, let her cry. It's a beautiful moment. Tears of joy, you know, let her cry. And yeah, she actually came up and talked to me later and she goes, thank you for telling me that. This is just the way I've been taught. You know, this is the way I've been shooting weddings. And yeah, and I was like, yeah, I understand that, but like, you know, this isn't your day. And I feel like that's the thing that both videographers and photographers need to understand. It's their day, and you need to put yourself in their shoes, you know. And I feel like that's the biggest thing.
And being like the photographer, you are the lead, and it's sometimes you do have to pay that. Like, try not to wreck people's egos or anything like that. Be like, look, the couple said they wanted 20 minutes for portraits. We've been out here for an hour getting these shots that you want to get, and I know that they don't want that. So it's almost like this delicate balance where you've got to almost talk for the couple as well to someone else and be like, this is the expectation.
Yeah.
Because like videographers in general, if they got photo video, like they'd be talking to you way more than the videographer prior to the day. And on the day you're going to be leading it, videographers next to you, they'll kind of get in and get the shots they need, but you are essentially still directing.
Yeah.
And then even how do you go when there's harder family members to deal with as well, like where you've almost got to step up and like tell them how the day's going to go as well?
Yeah. I haven't had too much problems with family members. Maybe my biggest issue is like if the bridal party gets a bit too lit too soon, and it's just hard to, you know, I want them to have as much fun as possible, but I also want them to look good. You know, you know, it's hard when they got these googly drunk eyes, like kind of thing. And I'm just like, all right, yeah. I like, cause I want them to, you know, have fun and get lit. But I also want them to look good as well, you know? Yeah, and so like, you know, if I see them like they're already lit before the ceremony, I'm just like, whoa, maybe have a few glasses of water, guys. Stay hydrated. It's hot out there, you know? But yeah.
Take it down a notch. Well, I think you've already like given so much knowledge to couples in this one. Is there any like advice that you would give to couples? They've kind of just got engaged. Maybe they've booked a venue, like the whole planning process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think just it's all about them too. And I think you need to go back down to the foundation of what a wedding is, and that's just celebrating love. And how can, choosing the right vendors to complement who you guys are. Spend some time looking and comparing to see how other photographers, videographers, planners, venues will complement who you are as a couple. I think that's the biggest thing. We all have our different approach and different way of delivering things, and that's the beauty of this industry. The world is your oyster. If you look long and hard enough, you'll find someone that's going to really, you know, capture you guys well, authentically and naturally, and the way you guys want.
This is one last thing I just thought about. I'm pretty sure this might have been your contact form, whereas like just roughly it says like, look, I get a ton of inquiries. Like I'm not going to like put in the effort kind of thing, you know, like write about your day, tell me about you, and then I'll be getting back to you. Was that your one?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because you do get a lot of inquiries, and it's nice to receive an inquiry where it's just like, hey Nathan, I love your work. I've been following you for some time, and they're always just such a pleasure to read. But the ones that you get that you can tell I've just been copy and pasted like 100 times. They've just sent it. They just want the cheapest wedding photographer they can find, kind of thing. I'm like, I know you've just sent that to 20 to 50 other photographers. Like I'm not going to reply to that, But yeah, because I want to work with someone that wants to work with me at the end of the day. I don't want someone that's just hiring me just to, squeeze as much out of me as possible and just another vendor kind of thing. I'm more than just a vendor. I'm like a part of your day, and and if you love my work, then my work is going to speak to you. Yeah.
That's what I really loved. Like I just read that and I'm like, it took it back to like, you just are this personable person that just wants to like hang out and want to be friends, and like we need to get along. And it's like, treat me like I'm going to treat you like a human on your wedding day and do the same for me. And it just felt really nice for you. Like I just read that. I'm like, that's awesome. Because like, just treat me like I'm a person, or not just some random business that like, I've got beautiful photos, but I'm also a person. And it just felt really nice to kind of to read that. So I'm not sure if that's how it's supposed to come across, but it felt really good.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we've been going for like 45 minutes.
Perfect.
Where can people find you when they want to book you in every part of the world? Where can they find you on Instagram and website and all those things?
Yeah, so it's my Instagram is basically the same as my website. It's just Nathan Lapham, Lapham LAPHAM.com, or that's just my Instagram, Nathan Lapham. Feel free to get in touch. I'd love to work with you. I'd love to work with this guy as well. We work really well together, so we can do a package deal.
Done. Is there any dream locations for you at the moment?
I'm really excited about the one in the Caribbean, actually, because I've never been to the Caribbean. And so I'm going there in July, and it's my birthday as well. So I'm going to have a bit of fun over there, I think. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much for coming on, mate. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Steve.
Love it.
Thanks for tuning in to the Wedco podcast. We're dropping a fresh episode every week featuring industry professionals dishing out the wedding wisdom you need to turn those dreams into reality. Make sure you are following us on social media, you have those notifications turned on so we can help plan your wedding day. Your dream wedding day just got a whole lot easier. Thanks for listening.